I think the real reason that some white people get upset or like don't understand when they see black people in spaces that they're in, or black people in positions of authority or advancing and things like that, the reason that they relate it to like, well, it must be like you're getting something that you're not qualified for, like it is racism, but there's another underlying part of that. And it really boils down to the fact that they can't fathom a reality where you advance in life, where you get a position, where you move up at all without stealing something or stepping on somebody or exploiting somebody. They can't, in their brain, they don't have any recall within their collective history of any time period where they've been able to build without stealing or massacring or doing something to somebody else. So like when they see another group of people, whether that be black people or POC, in positions that they feel like, well, no, that's my position. And when they see them, they think that, well, you couldn't have got it any other way besides taking it from somebody and like stealing it. There's no way you actually worked for it, because in their history and present day, they don't have, even within the country itself, standing up, the United States, they don't have any like precedent of like existing, like moving up, like building without taking something from somebody, without stealing. Like they have no creativity in their mind. Well, not even creativity, they have no recall and lack the imagination to imagine that being a possibility. So when they see a black person or a POC in spaces and things like that, it's got to be the DEI thing, even though it don't make sense. That's the only thing they have in their brain. It's like the only way you able to make it, the only way I know you make it in this world is by stealing stuff and like, you know, exploiting and like taking things away from people that belong to them. Big things, and that's it. That's all they got. So yeah, it's the racism, of course, but it's also there's another part of that psychologically where they just don't have the recall. There's no precedent set yet, and they refuse. I don't know, to set a precedent where they can, you know, advance, evolve without exploiting or stealing from other people across the globe and right next door. You know, so that's it. They just can't understand in their brain and just don't connect. Like, how were you able to make it as a black person? And then to look at a black person and know like black people's history of subjugation and oppression, and then see you actually moving, they're like, no, there's absolutely no how you fucking doing that. Blows their brain. So they had to come up with something, and the only thing they come up is what they were able to do since the beginning of days. And by the way, yes, that is stealing from other people, taking all the things, culture, resources, land. That's it. That's all they have, unfortunately for them, because eventually you keep resting on the fact you got to steal while other people making advancements on their own, pulling their own selves up by the bootstraps, even without fucking boots, making the boots themselves. Come a day where you don't even know how to make boots. You don't know how to do anything. Okay, y'all have a great day.
Y'all know I'm on bed rest, so I have nothing to do but literally scroll through TikTok. And I watched a video, and I wanted to tell y'all about it because it kind of upset my spirit a little bit. And so basically, it was a specialized pediatric cardiologist, and he said that someone called his office to request an appointment, right? And they had a special request. The request was that when they bring their child in, they didn't want anybody black caring for their child. Yes, this is a real story in 2025. So the cardiologist is like, and oddly enough, the person who brought this to me was one of the black nurses. And she, as great as she is, was actually trying to work it out to where they can get the child in and make it work for the child, because the child needed to be seen. And kudos to that woman. But he said he told her absolutely fucking not. Because if you can't be seen by the people that I trust to be in my facility, you won't be seen here at all. And shout out to him for that. And y'all know I've been in the hospital, and I'll give y'all a little insight as to why I agree 100% with this, because I don't want anybody but black people caring for me, black women to be specific, because I had nurses. Now, they were young, give or take. They could have been my age, maybe a little younger than I am. I'm not that old. However, when they gave me an IV, you could see, I don't know if you could see the IV. They put it in my wrist. And when she stuck the needle in, my wrist started spewing blood everywhere. I'm talking projectile bleeding. It was all over the bed, all over my clothes. She's like, oh my God, I'll give you some peroxide. And that's beside the point because the IV got in and they were able to draw my blood. And then, you know how they take the syringe before they give you the IV actually and like put the saline solution through the syringe through the IV port? Apparently she didn't twist that on correctly, so none of that actually went into my vein. It spilled all over me and all over the bed as well. So I feel like, and I said this while I was there, I was on live while this was happening. If I had black women as my nurses, that would have never happened. There is a certain level of nurturing and care and mothering that black women give in the medical spaces that is unmatched. And for anybody in this day and age to say that they don't want their child care for somebody that is black, cared for by somebody that is black, bitch, that's your fucking loss. Because that's going to be some of the best care that you will receive ever. Because those girls yesterday were completely unprofessional. But anywho, y'all be good. I'm going back to sleep.
Hi guys, my name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel. Some say the idea that white people hate black people is just a way to divide us. But history says otherwise. From slavery to mass incarceration, the system has always favored white people. Not every white person hates us, but ignoring racism in the system is how it survives. If you believe in truth and justice, please hit that plus sign button now to subscribe to our channel, like, and share this video.
White people do not like black people. Forget the fake smiles they put on their face whenever they see you. Deep down their hearts, they don't love black people. White people do not want to see the progress of Africa. They also do not want to see the progress of black people wherever you are. Man, I live in Europe and I know what I'm talking about. White people derive joy in making life difficult for the black man or black woman. What other race, like the Chinese, the Arabs, people from the Middle East, what they get easily in Europe, the white man will make it very difficult for the black man or black woman to get. In fact, at times, I ask myself, what did we do to these people that they hate us so much? Not only we, the grown-ups, they also hate our children. That is, they do not want our children to grow. Even when our children are the best, they still try to suppress them. But these same white people, when they go to Africa, you see African people celebrate them, welcome them, give them the best, treat them with respect. Even they live in the best neighborhoods, get all they deserve in Africa. But here in Europe, they treat us like animals, like subhumans. In fact, they don't even care how we feel. They don't even care how our children feel. They do it like there is nothing you can do. Do you understand what I mean? That's how they behave towards us. Like, you can't do anything. We can treat you however we want to treat you. This is our country. This is our continent. You can go to hell. In fact, they make you go to hell before you get anything from them. I listen to me. Sometimes when I stay on my own, I wonder. Even they treat the black people, they treat black people as the lowest type of human being. That's how they treat us. Even they will do it in your face. That is, what can you do? We treat you however we want. And they don't even care how you feel. It is so sad that these people do not have these human feelings. They are cold-hearted. These Europeans, they are cold-hearted. I want to end this video here. My name is Rodi. See you in my next video.
Well, I guess to put it simply, we don't. There's a lot of stereotypes out there. And there are some white people that do have hate. And it's usually because of a stereotype that they think all people are the same and they dislike that. But the theory that all white people are that way is also a stereotype. So we got to be careful about stereotypes, and we got to be careful about what we listen to and what we believe, because a lot of it's not true. Take care.
I have accidentally befriended people, white people, who are racist against black people, but not racist against me because I'm Hispanic. And I just want to explain why I think they're like that. I know that it's obviously not every white person is racist, you guys, but sadly, here in Texas, I have met people who, once I start hanging out with them and they get comfortable with me, they do say racist things or things that are just not okay directed towards black people, but they're completely fine with me being Hispanic. A lot of times these are people who, maybe I meet them at work and they hear me translating for like a customer or someone who doesn't speak English, and so they know I speak Spanish, and they find out that I'm Hispanic and everything's fine, and I'm like, oh, like this person is like fun to hang out with. But like I said, they get comfortable with me and then they start saying racist shit. I think the reason they do this is because they romanticize Hispanic culture. So, because me specifically, you guys, I'm Puerto Rican. My mom was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She lived there like the first 20 years of her life until she moved away. And I think they romanticize that specifically because when they think of Puerto Rico, they're like, oh, the beaches, like maybe I should go there next summer on vacation. They think of like West Side Story. They're thinking about like the arroz con habichuelas and the sorullos and the flan and like Prince Royce, Bad Bunny. They're thinking about how, oh, the women are so beautiful, the language is so romantic. It's almost like there's this mystery around it because they don't really know that much. And they're like, oh, like I love Latinos, like I love the culture. And so it's something that they can easily romanticize because there's a lot of things that they like, and it seems almost like this distant, like, oh, Puerto Rico's another country. Even though Puerto Rico is part of the United States, you guys, there are some white people that don't even freaking know that. Like, I remember a few years ago, I was in San Juan because I was visiting my family over there, and I was walking around, and I heard this white lady on the phone, and she was like, I can't talk right now, I'm in another country. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I just can't forget that because she was like older. And I remember turning my head and I was like, girl, like, because like I said, I think some people, they see it as like vacation destination, it's another country. And I also think that these white people that I've known in my life, who end up being racist towards black people, I think they like me because I'm so freaking pale, dude. And so they're like, oh, Kayla's one of us, but she's like kind of spicy. They kind of still see me as one of them. But the thing is, like, if you're going to be racist, just be racist towards everybody. It doesn't make sense to me why you're picking and choosing who you're going to be racist against. And I think the reason that they are comfortable being racist towards black people is because, we see black people everywhere here in the United States. And because of the slave trade, a lot of y'all don't know, specifically where your family is from or, where you're from. You just are like, well, we're just from the United States because sadly, because of all the horrible things that happen, I know that a lot of y'all can't trace back specifically where you were from, And so the romance and the mystery is gone. It's just like, oh, they're just black people, whatever. And, I think it's also envy because they are envious of like your big lips, how, your dark skin, because we see a lot of white people who are obsessed with being tan. And, I think they're also envious of like how you guys are just naturally curvy or strong. And again, you guys, I'm not trying to just trash on white people. It's just that I don't even make white friends anymore here in Texas because this has happened like too many times, honestly, with me, where I'm like, I feel like I just wasted my time like befriending someone because they, like I said, they end up saying racist things about black people when we're alone to me. And I'm like, dude, if you say that about black people, what do you say when I'm not around? Because that I'm Hispanic. So for example, with all the things happening with ICE, I'm like, when I'm not there, would you say, oh, they deserve it? Oh, I trust the government. Oh, well, they're probably criminals. Like, what do you say about us when I'm not there? Like, if you're okay being racist towards one group of people, I mean, I have to assume that you're being racist towards me when the time comes or when I'm not there. And, you know, I know this is like a huge rant, and I'm not trying to be mean or like be like, I hate white people, but this is literally something that has happened over the course of a couple years, you guys, that it's the same thing happening with me, you know, and I'm just like that, you know, that I've noticed from white people that I will befriend. And that's why I think they do it, because for a long time I didn't get it. I was like, why are you acting like that? And then I was like, oh, okay. You know, I started to connect the dots, but, you know, like I said, it's not okay, dude. Like, just don't be racist towards any group of people. You can't pick and choose who you like. Like, that doesn't make sense.
So I have a quick question, and this is for the white people that are. Why are y'all racist against black people? I really want to know. Like, what is it? What makes y'all hate black people so bad? I genuinely want to know. Let me know.
Thank you for this information right here. So let me give you the context from an American braider. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm just willing to talk about it now, because at one point I was absolutely shell-shocked. So they are calling Black Americans ghetto, lazy, ratchet, and akata, which basically means outsider or someone who is removed from their culture, basically. I heard it a lot when I was in college, actually, more than anything. But it was used more for folks that were born in this country, but their parents weren't. Anyway, whatever. So I've worked in several different types of shops. I've worked in a shop where all of the braiders were African. I've worked in a shop where I was the only braider. I worked in shops where there was a mixture of folks. And in every single one of the scenarios, I have learned something that is very interesting. Number one, shout out to those young ladies who were the first braiding shop that I worked at, where everyone was African except for me. So I just kept my mouth closed and pretended that I didn't, they used to tell me, you look like you are fula. Fula. Okay, I'll take it. So I wouldn't say anything, number one, because I was still learning some of the different techniques that I know now, like, interlock. Some of you all call it something else now. Just all the different types of styles that I learned, like 18 different types. Anyway, so I came in knowing how to do individuals and Senegalese twists that some people now call rope twists, and I learned how to apply them properly without the braid at the base and how to keep it in to the scalp, close to the scalp. Anyway, all of that. And it was a pretty reputable shop that I was at when I started. Well, anyway, I witnessed early on people wouldn't keep their appointments. None of the clients were African. They were all African American. They wouldn't keep their appointments. They would come in and be rude right off the rip. Like, I got stuff to do. You need to hurry up, or wanting unrealistic expectations. You got that much hair. And we know you don't have any edges, and we trying to tell you we can't grip that, or you're experiencing alopecia areata, and you want us to try to build something here that's already too heavy for the amount of hair that you do have, and you cussing us out, and you telling us what you want, and then when we do it, then you come back and you mad because everything we told you that was going to happen did happen, and then you're coming in with magazines and pictures on your phone that tell us exactly what you want. Well, in my day, it was magazines. They would come in with the magazine and they would say, this is what they wanted. We would tell them, what it would actually cost. And then they would argue you up and down about how much it's going to cost when your head is big as the side of the moon. And you want us to take 15 hours to braid your hair for $75. I ain't that damn desperate. And this was a common running theme of people coming in and being rude and being nasty to these women. And let me be clear, the women that I did meet, they didn't come to America to braid. They came to school to go to medical school. They came to school to do nursing and to have a profession. And they braided on the side so that they could have enough money to go to school, or so that they could have flexibility in their schedule. And when they were done, they would wash their hands of braiding. I learned a lot from sitting under these sisters from Africa, and some brothers as well. Some of their techniques and the rolling and the twisting and so forth, of Senegalese twisting, how to do it properly and so forth. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience. No, I am not in any way saying that it is okay to call people out. But if this is what they are experiencing on a regular basis, I experienced it as a braider. And it was not fun, being called out your name and being told I'm not paying that. So we had to get to the point where we had to ask you for 50% up front. So number one, if you didn't show up, it was non-refundable. And number two, we had to raise our prices because, and here was the other thing. We would actually do a consultation, because some people would come in, hair broke off, edges, don't have no, just all kind of damage and stuff. And then, if something were to happen to your head, then you're looking at us all sideways. So there were different things that we had to learn how to do to protect ourselves, including having you to, tell us what you were going to do and sign. If you wanted the work done, you had to sign a little piece of paper, and, then you were on your own, so that, the salon could protect themselves. Then when I went on and decided to get my own chair, I was braiding at my sister's shop, and the amount of people that saw that I was just this American woman that could braid hair, and I'm good, let's be clear, was, I can remember $150. I ain't paying no $150 for that. I got this, what I got right here. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I left. Outside of my hands and so forth were really starting to bother me, because after a while you get in a habit, and my pinky would kind of hang out, and I would go in town. I would go in, just doing the da 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 da. And then when you're done, they're walking out with a full, beautiful head of hair, and I got $100 for 18 hours worth of work. No, I did that maybe once or twice because I needed a bill to be paid, and it was always cash on hand. And so I said, that's the last time that I'm going to do that. And I will be honest with you, I have never braided a head and never felt like my work was garbage, even when I was braiding as a teenager. I immediately found myself braiding under the tutelage of some greats, and taking additional courses so that I could learn how to do it better. And then I realized that was not what I wanted to do. So I started doing what the American girl, the African girls did. I made a decision to go back to school, because there was no way I was going to continue to make that a long-term opportunity for myself. And they all said it. Oh no, we come here so that we can go to school. We don't come here, or my husband, and he's moved here in the career and I need something to do. And I'm not planning on doing this for the rest of my life. This is just something for me to hold over until X, Y, and Z. And so I learned, and then they explained how braiding is done in their country. They said we didn't know until we got here. Now, mind you, this was in the early 90s. They were like, we don't do this. We don't even know what a master braider is. We don't know what that is. You make that up in this country. It was so funny. It was so funny back then, But now they would say, you American girls, you cannot braid. Oh my gosh, such good times. But I learned a lot. And this American girl can. The only thing I would do right now is teach. You couldn't get me to braid a full head of hair unless, of course, I birthed you or you my grandchild. I would, no. Or if I was in dire straits and I just had to braid a head full of hair, I could do it. But to just be doing it to make something, no. Because I need my peace of mind. And the level of abuse that I saw from my American sisters, I could do without that. I could do without it. So we have to kind of look at both things. I'm not overlooking the fact that there are folks from Africa who think that they're better. I just think we need to look a little bit deeper and find out what's really going on and hold ourselves accountable to treating people who are providing a service to us much better than we do. That's just it. That's why I walked away. I was like, oh, hell no. You're not taking me down through there. But thank you so much for the clarification on what this is all about. I appreciate that.
I am trying to get real with myself and with other white people, and it is painful work. There's a whole lot of blame toward black people for being the cause of how white people treat them, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. I decided to take a closer look at slavery, since that's such a big topic in the United States. There has been slavery all over the world forever, and all colors of people have enslaved other colors of people for as long as we know about. But the transatlantic slave trade, in which Europeans brought African and Caribbean black people to the United States to be free labor in the new colonies before they were really the United States, is a whole different story of slavery. Slavery historically had to do with who won and who lost a war, who was convenient, who stumbled by at the wrong time, and so it wasn't specifically race-based. So why did these white Europeans choose black people to enslave? Because their physical differences from whites made it easier to create lies that they were biologically inferior. They invented science to defend this. It was easier to make these people who looked so different from us less human. And that lie made it easier to justify torture, rape, family separation, and death on a massive scale. And it made them, quite frankly, easier to identify if they tried to escape. The legacy didn't disappear when slavery ended. Eugenics came along and fed the racial superiority notion of whiteness, and it influenced the Nazi narrative along with the racial one. It carried over into segregation, Jim Crow, housing, policing, incarceration, education, all of that. If we're ever going to fix what's broken, we need to get curious enough to name how it got broken in the first place. White people need to get curious so we can say no more, not on my watch.
Hey, why everybody mad at us? It seemed like everybody is mad at Black Americans right now. Just go to my comment section and read. Like, everybody's pissed off at us for one reason or another, which is crazy, right? For once in American history, black people are not the butt of every joke, right? For once in American history, black people aren't the primary target of something, and everybody is pissed off. So fellow black people, fellow foundational Black Americans, bask in this glory and live it up. Because yes, for once in American history, we are not the primary target of everything. Every joke, every situation, everything. We always the primary target, except for right now, and we gotta live it up and bask in this beautiful glory.